like, and subscribe. And let's get straight to it. You know how I roll. Walter Reuther is the white Martin Luther King who was beaten and arrested to give white people their civil rights. Caucasians, you did not receive your civil rights because you were white. Oligarchs, the people who Donald Trump represents, who has Donald Trump cutting their taxes as we speak, are the people that Walter Reuther had to fight to give you your rights. If you think oligarchs, see, most white people think that white oligarchs gave them their rights. They think that white oligarchs they are a part of the white oligarch. It was the white oligarchs that put white people in trailer parks and then put fences up so they didn't have to look at them. You see, white people, it's good. Black people learn more about black history in a month than white people learn about their history all year, because they just take the lies for granted. The lies sound good, so they just take the lies for granted. They don't do the research to find out their history. They don't understand that after slavery was over, that they were picking cotton. They were picking fruit and vegetables ever since the Civil War ended. And black people moved up north, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and places like that, and started our own businesses. White people, you were picking fruits and vegetables. You stopped picking fruits and vegetables in World War I when you were drafted to go off to war. And then they brought Mexicans to do your jobs. Some stayed, some went back home. Then in World War II, it was the same situation. They brought Mexicans up here to do white men's jobs while they were drafted to go into war for oligarchs. The Mexicans did their job. Some Mexicans were given temporary visas. Some were given permanent visas. Some weren't given visas at all and just stayed. And then once they had kids, their kids became citizens. And this is what Donald Trump is trying to knock out the pocket. You see, Donald Trump is an oligarch. And the proof of the matter is, what is he doing for you white people now? You voted for Donald Trump, and he deceived you. And you don't have a Walter Reuther now to defend your rights. Because if one does show up, they will take him out. They will take him out. But see, they didn't have to take out Caucasian civil rights workers. All they had to do was pay them off and let them blend into society. Walter Reuther was like MLK, like Malcolm X. They refused to sell out. And he refused to sell out. And he's the reason why white people, you have your civil rights and you have your unions. So when you go against unions, you are going against Walter Reuther, who most of you don't even know he has. So I'm asking my black brothers and sisters that are subscribed to my channel to have Caucasians Google Walter Reuther to find out what he did for you. The oligarch hired gangsters to take him out, beat him up. If they would have taken him out, it probably would have been a riot all over the United States. Walter Reuther, remember the name. This is his picture. And like I said before, black people learn more about black history in a month than white people learn about history all year, because everything they feed you is a lie. Everything oligarchs feed you is a lie. And this goes for the white people who are burying my videos thinking that they are helping themselves when all they're doing is supporting the oligarch to screw them. Because you can, white people that are shadowing my videos, not letting them get out, guess what? You will never be one of the oligarchs. You're just like a soldier who was drafted into one of the services, and you're fighting, and they're telling you you're fighting for your country. Are you fighting for, and the United States is spending money in Israel? Never mind the natural disasters like in Texas, like in Florida, like in New York that are going on. You're not going to hear about that. That's not going to be the news media narrative. And the news media, of course, is owned by the oligarch. So they tell you what they want you to hear. This is how they manipulate your minds. Then they broadcast, magnify what is not of value to you. Racism is broadcasted. And any type of publicity, whether negative or positive, sells. Any type of publicity, positive or negative, sells. So they can talk positively about racism, they can talk negatively about racism, but all they're doing is selling a narrative and keeping you focused on a narrative that is always going to lean toward racism. Just like feminism is always going to lean toward the negative, because they want to break up the families. They want women to work and men to work. Because if a man just works and the wife is at home, then he has to ask for raises to support his wife and family. But with feminism, now you have the wife and woman working, and you can pay them both less money. Now they're laying off everybody. The oligarchs are doing this. And see, most white people think that because they're white, and oligarchs are principally white, that they magically gave them their rights. No, they didn't. Because I'm going to give you a quick stat and then I'm going to finish. There is 330 million Americans. 50% of the 330 Americans, which would be 165 million Americans, have 2.5% of the wealth in this country. 2.5% of the wealth in this country is owned by half of Americans. And they are working and living, and the ones that work are living paycheck to paycheck and have large credit card debt. Then you have the next 40% is the middle class. And the 40% middle class, they own 30% of the wealth in this country. 40% of the people in this country own 30% of the wealth. Lastly, the 10% of the wealthy owns 67.5% of all the wealth. So you can donate all the money you want to charities and this and that. And even if the total middle class puts in, well, the bottom 165 million Americans don't have money to give to charitable causes and things of this nature. The 40% of the middle class owns 30% of the wealth, and they are the ones that can afford to give to these social programs and to fight the oligarchs. But they only have 30% of the wealth. But then the top 10% has double what they have. So you can donate all the money you want to. You can't outspend the oligarchs because they have double the money in the United States. So we can donate to all these little charities that we want, that the Democrats be asking us to donate to. But the reality of the situation is that the every time the Republicans have a legislation that hurts the people, there's always going to be 4 or 5 Democrats that's going to swing to the Republican side to give the Republicans their majority and pass the legislation, which is always going to be around tax cuts and cutting social programs to the American people. And this is exactly what Donald Trump is doing. He's cutting social programs, and he is giving tax cut to people, to the 10% that owns 67.5% of the wealth. And once he finishes with these tax cuts, then I will say that the rich 10% will probably own at least 75 to 80% of all the wealth in the country, because the 40% middle class that owns 30% of the wealth, a lot of their money and businesses are going out of business because of tariffs. And a lot of them who are making this nice money are being laid off by these corporations that are moving overseas to take advantage of cheaper wages. And when they take advantage of the cheaper wages, then they will pay the tariff to bring the products back into the country and charge a higher price for them. And guess who's going to pay the higher price? The middle class. So when these companies move out of the country, come back and pay the tariff, they don't care because they're not paying the tariffs. We are. So you go to the grocery store, you buy 5 items, and it's $90-something. It's not hurting the oligarchs. It's hurting you because they're going to get a profit off of the tariff. But the main thing I want you to understand is that Walter Reuther is Caucasian's Martin Luther King. And people, you got to understand how the game is being played, because they're using the television to give you false narratives and to hide the things that the government is doing that will hurt you. And they also started you to hating unions, which gave us the 40-hour work week, overtime, vacation pay, hospitalization. Ronald Reagan did that. I believe it was in 1984. He cut taxes for the rich to which was around 32%, which was 70%. He cut their taxes to 32%. And then all of a sudden we start having billionaires. Because before Ronald Reagan, there was only one billionaire, and that was Onassis, who married Jackie Kennedy. Like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Do the research and check out what I'm saying. Now, you don't need to believe me. Do the research for yourself. God bless us.